Hi guys, so you're going to fill in the notes for lesson 1.6. You already wrote this out last week. So at some point you can pause this video and copy it down. The point of these notes is not to change your mind about the way that you prefer to add. I'm going to assume that the majority of you will prefer the groups above, but it's just to show you that there are other methods you can use that will get you the same answer. And speaking of the word methods, it is a highlighted word, okay? And then we also have subtotal. So I will go ahead and turn it to the glossary real quick, and I want you to write those into the glossary. I decided to use the word web for this. So method, one way of thinking of it is that it's a way of doing something, or it's a careful, organized plan. And just sometimes you might hear actually you've probably heard me say this, that there is a method to my madness. So madness is another word for craziness. And it's just a fun way of saying there is an organized or a plan to what I'm doing, even though you might think it's crazy. So it's just a way that some people play with the word. But when we speak of method, we mean that it's a way of doing something. The word subtotal, I broke it apart like we did, or like you would notice in the Monday bell ringers, where it's a compound word. We have two words. So I put them into two different word webs. Total, we could say that it's an answer or even a final amount. And I starred that because this is probably the best way that you want to think about it right now for this particular word. And then sub, somebody in class brought up replacement because they were thinking of like a substitute teacher. And you could also think of it as meaning part of. And I put a star there because I want you to think of subtotal as part of a final amount. Okay. All right, back to the notes. And remember, you can pause that to write that down. So the groups above method is when you are going to add, and every time you make a new group, you put that new group amount at the top or above. It is the most used way, and like I just said, the groups are marked at the top. Groups below is just like it, except instead of marking our new groups at the top, we mark them below right here. And this is helpful if you forget to add these top ones sometimes, okay? The subtotal left to right, this is just you adding up the values. And so both of these are exactly the same, except for this one, we're starting with the highest values, and over here, we're gonna start with the lower values. So we know that this 2 is not really a 2, it's actually 200. This 1, its value is 100. So 200 plus 100 equals 300. The 7 is a 70, and the 5 is a 50. 70 plus 50 equals 120. The 8 and 6, sorry about that, guys, I got interrupted there. And I don't want to start all over. So back to this one, you're just adding up the values. The 8 and the 6, those are in the ones place, so 8 plus 6 is 14. Okay. This is actually kind of handy when you can keep all that lined up in your head and do that mentally. But when we get into larger numbers, you may not like to do it, okay? And then over here, you'll notice we're just flip-flopping it. So it's 14, 120, 300, okay? So I just want you to copy those notes, and then you'll see on Schoology that I have assigned what I want you to complete on the worksheet. As far as filling anything out on the back, I've actually decided a different way that I want to talk about that, so we'll talk about that on Thursday, okay? Alrighty.